of the fantasy football season, and here's a few running backs I look to get on the waiver wire this week with some decent options. The first guy, Isaiah Pacheco of the Kansas City Chiefs, are coming into the ball game early Sunday morning. Pacheco, it was announced that he was going to start the ball game for the Chiefs, and he did, but it was more the same old in that Chief backfield over there, where we saw a lot of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, we saw Jerry McKinnon, and we saw Pacheco as well, but Pacheco was still in kick returns as well. But right now with the Chiefs bye coming up, I think after the bye week, Pacheco is going to be more the number one running back. Once again, the carries were pretty much similar between Edwards-Helaire and Pacheco, and he closed the ball game out after it was out of reach for 8 carries, 43 yards. So Pacheco, he's pretty much getting 5 yards a carry this season when he's getting the football. I know a lot of games we didn't see him earlier in the year, here and there, but now I think he's going to get more of a workload. And like I said, once the bye week's over, after the bye, I think he's really going to take this job here in Kansas City, because Clyde Edwards-Helaire hasn't done much. Jerry McKinnon, we know, is a passing downs back, and he fits the role perfect over there in Kansas City. But even we saw McCole Hardman rush for touchdowns in this one. But anyway, Pacheco right now, he's available in 51% of fantasy leagues. And obviously this Chief team likes him, and they're easing him into that starting gig. And I give him an ad this week. The next guy, Gus Edwards of the Baltimore Ravens. To Gus the Bus, he came back off the PUP list here and put in a ball game. 16 carries, 66 rush yards, and 2 touchdowns here in his debut this season. So right now available only in 58% of fantasy leagues. Here's Edwards. He looks like the number one bell cow, and he's a true running back. We know J.K. Dobbins is out 4 to 6 weeks here. He was put on IR early in the week last week here. So Edwards, not a great matchup on Thursday Night Football at Tampa Bay, but as a flex option, low-end number 2 running back, I don't think you could go wrong. He's a big physical back, and over the last few seasons when he plays, he's one of the top running backs in yards per carry is Gus Edwards. So right now, before it's too late, fantasy only should go out there and get him on the wire. I don't think Kenyon Drake is much of a threat to him. Mike Davis was inactive in this ball game, and Justice Hill barely got any touches. So Gus Edwards is the running back to get over there in Baltimore. And a big ad on the wire this week. The next guy is Donta Foreman of the Carolina Panthers. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey traded a few days ago here, and Donta Foreman available in 50% of fantasy leagues. So Foreman versus this tough Buck defense, 15 carries, 118 yards, 2 catches for 27 yards. So right there, great stat line. Chuba Hubbard, he got hurt in this ball game as well. We don't know if he's going to play, but he's another guy on the list. So right now, Foreman last season, filling in for Derrick Henry, he did a great job, I thought. 133 carries last season, 566 rush yards, 3 touchdowns, 9 catches, 123 yards. Obviously, he's the first and second down back. He's more ideal. He's not really a guy that's going to catch the ball out of the backfield here as Foreman, but he's a big physical back, and he's even shown some breakaway speed like we saw in that Week 7 ball game versus Tampa Bay. So right now available in 52% of fantasy leagues, and with Hubbard possibly out, he's going to be the number one bell cow undisputedly over there in Carolina. And the next guy's Chuba Hubbard of the Carolina Panthers. So Hubbard, he looked good in the ball game, 9 carries, 63 yards, a touchdown, and 2 ribs for 10 yards. But he got banged up at the end of that ball game with an ankle injury. So right here, great victory for the Panthers, no doubt about it. He's still available widely in 64% of fantasy leagues here is Chuba Hubbard. And he's a guy that goes out there and he can make a few plays catching the football. But like I said, in between the tackles, you want Foreman. Now Hubbard banged up as well. We don't know if he's going to play for sure in next week's ball game. But it's a good game of the Atlanta Falcons that give up a ton of points, and with running backs have had success. So right now, Foreman and Hubbard, they're up there as good pickups this week. And the 5th and final running back I look to get on the wire this week, so Latavius Murray of the Denver Broncos. I've mentioned him over the last few weeks here is Latavius Murray, and he's been looking good. He's definitely the goal line back over there in Denver. Mike Boone, he left the game with injury. We don't know how long he's going to be out or what the diagnosis is. But anyway, Latavius Murray's getting goal line touches. I know Melvin Gordon had more overall touches than Murray in the game. But right here, 8 carries, 24 yards versus the Jets, a touchdown, and 2 catches, -1 yards. And in Week 6 at the Chargers, he had a full workload pretty much with the 15 carries, 66 yards in that one for Murray with a catch, -2 yards. So right now available in 60% of fantasy weeks here. And it's him and Gordon back there pretty much splitting, with him getting the short yardage carries and workers with Tavius Murray, especially if Boone's out. So that's a few running backs I look to get on the waiver wire here for week 8 of the fantasy football season.